where we came from, what was the inspiration. I think the inspiration comes back from me being in the industry for over 30 years. Started off with a spirit company when we travelled to France, Scotland and London, to Beefeater, to Ballantyne's, that sort of thing. So I was really involved with learning about the process of how to make gin and whiskey and cognacs, that sort of thing. So that's always been a passion and interest of mine, but I've always worked for somebody else. And
I think we sort of recognised that during COVID, that really time to have our own product.
Yeah, take control of, I guess, our own destiny, to use a phrase that's commonly used. But we had the opportunity to actually develop something ourselves. And spirits was great because we can do it locally. And that's been a big drive for us, I think, is supporting as many local businesses. I mean, when you look at the bottle, the labels, we get the labels made in Southport, we get the boxes from Burleigh. It's distilled in Miami. We live in Ashmore, so it's all within basically a 16-kilometre radius.
I think we saw a need. People were wanting to buy a local premium product, and there was a need for something that people could say, yeah, this is from the Gold Coast and I'm supporting locals. It was really nice that you let me help choose the name, I think, because it's very much an homage to my childhood, growing up in Surfers Paradise and calling it Paradise Gin. And the labels itself, again, thank you for letting me use my memories, because the label on the first one is actually I was brought up in Surfers Paradise and Cavill Avenue, and my babysitter at the time, we used to sneak into all the resorts and go swimming in the pools, and this is sort of an homage to the Chevron Hotel and the Tiki Village and all those resorts that were in the middle of Surfers Paradise that I remember as a kid. And I think a lot of other people remember that too. I really thought hard about this font because all the other fonts that were presented to us just didn't sit right with me. A fun, interesting process with the labelling, finding the right bottle, finding the right cap.
Well, you did the original sketch from your inspiration as a kid, growing up in Surfers Paradise, and there's always somebody having a cocktail party around a pool. We didn't have the big fancy pools we have today. They're either square or round pools, but there's always somebody in a cocktail suit having a cocktail. So you did the sketch for that, and my father did the artwork. He did a great job, I think, and people that look at our product really love the label.
So with the pink one, again, the label, I sketched it up wanting to do an homage to, again, a memory from my childhood. And we've got Rosella flower in here, but we also have native Australian Rosella birds. So I really wanted to bring that...
On the label, not in the bottle.
On the label, not in the gin. The label has the Rosella birds on the front, and I think a lot of people, even around Australia, have come to the Gold Coast and gone to the Currumbin Birdlife Sanctuary. They have fed the birds, and a lot of them are lorikeets, but there are rosellas as well that come down and feed. And we wanted to put that on the front and give people a bit of a, I remember when I was a child and I went to the Gold Coast and fed the birds at Currumbin Sanctuary. So everything we do, we try and have a little bit of meaning to it, and something to give someone a bit of, nostalgia as well, I think, which is missing these days. Everything is very commercial and very, man-made, machine-designed, whereas ours is, hand-drawn, hand-painted, and we've put it on our label, and we just want to make it personal.
So far, the response to our labels have been very, very positive. They understand that this is a very individual design. The key element in this is Rosella, a Rosella flower, which is again is an Australian native. So we've tried to keep the theme of supporting and using Australian-made products and Australian native ingredients.
And it gives it a lovely, really light pink tint. It's not a luminescent pink.
Yep.
It's just a light tint.
Very, very light pink in this one.
Very light tint.
The Kakadu Plum Gin, which is actually the first one we released, is a clear spirit. Kakadu Plum is the key element. When they think of plum, they think it's sweet. Because it's picked early, it's very low in residual sugar, so the flavours come through, but you get the fruit characteristic without the fruit sweetness, if that makes sense. So you'd still describe this as being a dry style of gin, but with the fruit characteristic coming through there. It's now June 2021, and we launched in November 2020. And we started really researching the whole process within 6 months prior to that.
That's right.
So we sat down with some great guys that helped us put together some recipes.
And when we were working through the recipes, I really wanted to have an Australian botanical as the feature, and we didn't have any Kakadu plum at the time, so we went and ordered some, and we waited a few weeks to get it from Northern Territory, because it's not a commercially grown fruit, it's a free-ranged fruit.
Yeah, you have to go out and forage for them. So, and we couldn't actually go in there and do it ourselves. We had to actually have somebody that has the contract, the permission to actually go there and do this.
That's right.
There was a bit of a delay there, but I think it was worth the wait. And it's the solid fruit. We don't use the powdered form. I'm not saying powdering is bad, but we chose to use solids. Australian Kakadu plum. They look like little pears because they're picked underripe.
Yeah.
So we did 12-hour maceration, 12-hour distillation, 3.5 weeks in tank, and then we bottled and labelled.
I was doing a tasting down at the mill and just watching what everyone was buying, what everyone was asking for, and I'm going, oh my goodness, everyone's loving the pink gin. We have to make a pink gin. So let's fast forward our second bottle and try and work out a really nice recipe for a pink gin. It has a little bit of floral, and there's a bit of citrus comes through because we've got grapefruit.
We use
in this
grapefruit,
one. Simple recipes so that people can actually taste the feature botanicals that are in there, because they're Australian botanicals, and that's what we want to showcase.
It timed nicely with World Gin Day, which was just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we're able to release this on time, and we did our soft launch for that at
11 Bridges
Distillery in Brisbane, which is very, very well
so
received.
supportive. They were really such a supportive crew.
Yep. So we're mixed in there with a bunch of other craft distillers from around Queensland,
some fabulous
Queensland.
guys around Queensland.
Yep. So we rubbed shoulders with a bunch of those guys. This is a great way to start, I think, because you get that fruit softness in the palate, but it still finishes nice and clean there as well. And when we've tried it neat, we've tried it with ice, we've tried it with a nice dry tonic water, not a sweet tonic water. We've got a few different cocktails we can mix with it. Usually something like an apricot brandy or a liqueur would work really well with this. So there's a lot of different recipes. One of our favourites is actually called the Paradise Cocktail.
And I remember you were researching cocktails, because on the back we have postcards that we give out to people with cocktail recipes. And I remember you being, I found this great recipe from the 1930s that appeared in a movie called One Way Passage.
One Way Passage, yeah.
Yeah.
When they get to try the product, the pink gin, I tell them try this one first usually, and then the Kakadu plum, because this is the dry earth style. This is closer to your London dry. I call this our sipping gin because you can have this neater on the rocks. Somebody might prefer this one to this one, but they enjoy both.
Yeah.
And that's
I've had people say to me, oh look, I'm not a gin drinker. And I'm going, just taste it. And then they go, oh well, okay, I don't mind that. It's like anything though. Different makers, different brands have different tastes. So it's always good to at least try.
Yeah. I think the other reason why it is so approachable is because we've kept the ABV fairly low. When I say low, I mean by 40, it's 40% ABV. We could have gone a little bit higher, could have gone a bit lower, but I think at 40% balance was very important.
Obviously we are watching and asking and observing and taking note of what customers want, because at the end of the day, they're the ones drinking it.
Well, we are looking at maybe doing a vodka as well, because there seems to be demand for it. But I'm also interested in doing a Navy strength gin. We've registered all of the pink gin with blockchain.
We really want to export. That's a future goal of ours. It's certified by a person that we recognise, and it helps the customer at the end, wherever it is, to say this is not a fake, this is the real product.
Yeah.
I think that's important for a lot of premium products going forward. In this day and age, there are a lot of fakes around. On our blockchain, we also are putting videos of when
Creating a story.
Creating a story, and that's what our label is about telling a story and hopefully inviting people to become part of it.
And we want people to be happy when they try the product and put a smile on their face. That's
Yeah,
our end goal,
absolutely.
really.
It's all about
Yep.
all about the customer.
Yep.